this universe. We are in this universe. The universe is in us. Yes, the universe is in us. We are part of this universe. We are in this universe. The universe itself exists within us. We are part of this universe. We are in this universe. The universe is in us. Yes, the universe is in us.
Every atom in your body came from a star that exploded. You are all stardust. You are all stardust from a star that exploded.
Look up at the night sky. We are part of it. The universe itself exists within us. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, called by the universe, reaching out to the universe. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, reaching out to the universe with these methods and tools of science.
Stand in the middle and enjoy everything both ways. The tininess of us, the enormity of the universe.
The atoms that make up the human body are traceable to the crucible that cooked light elements into heavy elements. These stars went unstable in their later years and then exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy. Look up at the night sky. We are part of it. The universe itself exists within us. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, called by the universe, reaching out to the universe. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, reaching out to the universe with these methods and tools of science. We are stardust in the highest exalted way, in the highest, reaching out. The universe itself exists within us. We are part of this universe. We are in this universe. The universe is in us. Yes, the universe is in us.
Hey, this is Reverend R. Ken. You're watching PAN TV, the Prosperity Advocate Network, and we have reached the last lesson, Awakening the Great Within. As you know, if you've been following along, we've done a survey of the complete book, The Great Within by Christian D. Larson, written, I believe, in 1902, 1904, 1914 maybe. I might be getting them mixed up. But the thing about it is, we've taken this fabulous, dynamic journey to get to the final lesson, the final chapter, that not necessarily brings it all together, but pinpoints the power that each of us has within us and gives us not the formula, so to speak, but steps and expectations that we should have in regard to the great within. Steps and expectations. Now, expectations can sometimes exceed our ability, but expectations don't exceed our potentiality. And that's one of the things that this last lesson does for us. It talks about or clarifies the potential that's within each and every one of us, and what to expect from that potential, and how to access that potential. It's a beautiful thing, is it not? So, as we embark upon this final lesson from The Great Within by Christian D. Larson, the title is, of course, as I started, The Awakening the Great Within. We should keep in mind everything that has occurred for the first 13, 14 lessons. As it talked to us, the book shared with us what the Great Within is, where it's located, what its potential is, how we can access it through sleep, how to take problems to the Great Within and get a resolution. All of that comes down to awakening the Great Within and kind of concluding and summarizing, in a sense, all that we have touched upon, but doing it in a very let us say upgraded manner. I want to say that, upgraded. So it's not repeating the steps that we may have been made aware of in previous lessons, but it is now upgrading it in such a way that it condenses them and gets straight to the point. Now, I will say that for a person who would just read this particular chapter without all the other information, they may very well get an understanding of the process, but they would not have, I don't believe they would have a full understanding on how to access this great within that every human being has, how to access it, and then what to expect from it. You know, before, some of the lessons that we had just made it sound so great, so wonderful, and we were anxious to get it. And now, in this final lesson, in this last lesson, it's not only telling us the potential and how great it is, but it's saying there's certain things that you really, really want to understand. Sounds pretty interesting, doesn't it? What is it that I need to understand that I may not have picked up along the way? Well, you stay tuned and we'll see exactly what that might be. Again, this is Reverend Arkan Turner, Senior Spiritual Leader at Unity of Chicago South, where we celebrate this truth every Sunday starting at 11:30. We're located at 12338 South Halsted, and when I say we're located at, that is where we hold our Sunday celebration in the banquet hall of Chicago South Community Development Organization. For all of you that have responded to earlier shows, I say thank you so very much. And I hope to continue to hear from you, and I hope that you will continue to come out. That is my hope. That is what, let us say, my ambition is. For those of you that have not made your way to visit us on Sunday, I say that I wish you continued health and wellness and good fortune. And as I did on the show a couple of weeks ago, I hope you understand your importance in this cycle of producing shows for all the producers on KNTV, and your responses to them, however you may respond, by attending their events, by writing them, emailing them, phoning them, how very important your actions are as part of the cycle to perpetuate the good that the producers are doing. With that said, we're going to take a break, get back, and get into the lesson, Awakening the Great Within, the final step.
I could no longer believe in the stern Father God I learned about in Sunday school. As I was about to give up on religion altogether, Unity showed me a view of God I could relate to. Pure life, pure love, and pure wisdom. I found faith when I found Unity.
Awakening the Great Within, from the book The Great Within by Christian D. Larson. The subconscious mind is not a second mind. To think so is to place an artificial barrier between the outer person and the limitless within. There is but one mind. The outer phase is the conscious or the objective. The inner phase is the subconscious or the subjective. So we're talking about we possess a two-phased mind, or better yet, two-phased thinking, because one of the things we say in our studies is that there's only one mind, the great mind, the divine mind, and we have use in that mind. But our use in that mind is thinking, and the thinking we're now being told is two phases. It's the thinking that we are doing consciously or objectively, and then we have the thinking that happens on an objective basis, the activity that comes from the thinking being implanted upon the inner phase of our thinking process. The inner phase of our thinking process. So we have an outer phase or the objective phase, and we have an inner phase, which is the subjective phase. And that subjective phase, let's understand what it is, what it does. The objective phase or outer phase or conscious mind impresses upon the inner phase, the subjective mind, the things that the organism, man, human beings, persons, individuals want. That's the process. That's the process. So that this inner thinking or this inner consciousness, let us say, then goes about the business of working out whatever it is that the conscious has placed upon it, has planted in it. Two phases of our thinking, let us say, for this point, at this point. This is why I said it's very important that you may have, picked up some of the earlier lessons, because we have talked about the mind, and now we're taking it another step and saying, okay, we're going to combine what he's saying here with the teachings, the metaphysical teachings, which say there's only one mind, the divine mind, the God mind, and that we have access to it. And one of the ways that we access it is through our thinking. And this thinking has two phases. It has the phase that we're aware of, and then it has the phase that we are planting within our great within. So I'm thinking of good, I'm thinking of good, I'm thinking of good, I'm thinking of good, and I spend 5 minutes a day just thinking of wonderful things, just good things. I am taking the time to implant upon the subconscious mind those thoughts. And then I go about the rest of my day and I deal with whatever comes. But I have implanted because I have concentrated on a particular area for a particular length of time or throughout the course of the day. What is being said here? If I think negativity throughout the day, every incident that I run into, I'm implanting upon the inner thinking, the inner mind, the subconscious mind, I'm saying mind again, and it's kind of hard to differentiate, but the subconscious thinking process, that phase, I'm implanting within it negativity because I've been doing that all day with the objective mind. But because that's the process, those things that I want, I can do the same thing. I can impress upon the subjective mind, the subjective thinking process, the subjective phase, I can impress upon it that which I want, which is positive and good, and it will go out and begin to, or connect with itself and begin to, you say, what happened there? Connect with itself. I'm going to tell you in a second. But it will connect with itself to go about providing that. Okay. So you say, connecting with itself. We just did a lesson recently, and it came to me that if everything is God, if it's all God, that means it's God out here and it's God within me and within you. If that's the case, then, and it should be the case if you say God is omnipresent, everywhere present in different forms. If you say something on that order, then that means there must be God in you now. Scripture calls it the Christ. Christian scripture calls it the Christ. So within you is God, out here is God, and then all that there is, okay, is in this out here God, so to speak. Okay? Just work with me for a minute. We know there is no God out here and God in here. There's only one God all over, within, without, every place present, but for illustration purposes. So what happens is that once you implant an idea in this subconscious phase, God phase within you that you have some access to, it has no place else to go but to itself. The energy that is around us, to itself, to bring forth whatever it is you want. So it's always God reaching God. You might have to come to Sunday service and class for that one. Now let me also say that whatever vibrations you put upon the subconscious, it will vibrate back to God to bring forth those vibrations. Now what's the key here? I didn't want to make it go, woo 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 way out here. The key here is this. It is the thinker. It is the thinking that is the variable in the process. You see, I didn't say that when you plant within the subconscious a particular thought, that subconscious then evaluates the thought and says, oh, that's good or that's bad, I don't want to do that, because it's subjective. So whatever you place upon it, it must work to bring it forth. Now, that's not to scare anyone. The purpose of sharing that with you is to say this is the process that he's talked about throughout the book, throughout our survey. And if we understand and accept this being the process, then we try to work. We make attempts to work with this process for our good, for our betterment. Why not? As one infamous person said, what do you have to lose? So, if you accept the fact that you impress your inner subconscious with your thinking, external thinking or conscious thinking, I'm aware of the thinking that you're aware of, and then we see that it takes over once it really accepts the implanting of the idea, and its thinking, let us say, does the rest. It thinks through how to get it done. So we could say that the outer thinking, the conscious thinking, is what I want to do. And the inner thinking or the subconscious thinking is how do I get it done? How do I provide the thinker with the thing that the thinker wants? Two phases. He goes on to say the subconscious is within the conscious, and being unlimited both in power and in possibilities is appropriately termed the great within. That's where the name the great within came from this unlimited phase that we have. This unlimited phase that we have. The conscious phase is limited, but the subconscious phase is unlimited. To awaken the great within is to bring into action the powers and possibilities that are latent in the subconscious. And since the powers of the within are limitless and its possibilities numberless, this awakening may be promoted indefinitely, increasing without end the worth and greatness of the human being. The great within is unlimited. Well, I got this, so that must be enough. Whatever it is that you can put through the process of the thought implanting in the subjective, whatever it is, you can continually do it, and it doesn't run out as long as you are alive, as long as you are on this planet. You can use this great within to your advantage. Nothing is too enormous for it to achieve. Nothing is too dynamic for it to achieve. So if you thought about, well, I'm not worthy. If you thought about, well, yeah, for them, but not for me. If any of those thoughts have crossed your mind, he's just given us the information necessary to say, I no longer feel like I am limited to any concept or idea that has been put upon me. I'm an unlimited, a limitless being if only I know how to work the system. If only I know how to work the system. We got a flip going on here. There we go. Then he goes on to even give us more. He says, we're talking about a perpetual increase of conscious action upon the subconscious. A perpetual increase. Now what is that saying? It's saying that once I get this idea, once I understand this concept, that the more I give to the great within, to that subconscious mind, on a regular basis, the more it brings forth that which I give it. Sounds like practice, doesn't it? I now want to start practicing providing that power within me with the information so that it can bring forth out here, manifest for me, demonstrate for me the life that I want. Many of us have spent a lot of time knowingly or unknowingly providing negative information to the great within. As I just said a few minutes ago, if whatever we provide it with, it attempts to reach out to the vibrations, divine vibrations, to bring forth that which we put in it. So now we want to begin to, if we haven't already, watch the thoughts that we plant into the subconscious mind, the subjective mind. And it's not one of those, oh, I can't think that, oh, if I think that, oh, it's going to come, but it's not fear. It's an understanding. It's similar to working with mathematics. And you're just learning. And in your mind, you have a formula that you've been using all your life. And now you're being told that the formula was always right, was always correct. That's why you have the stuff in your life that you have. But the input, the numbers that you use, were incorrect. And if you change the numbers, then your life will change. So it's accepting the fact that, I have had some input in my life to bring me to this point. I've had some. Don't take it all. Just take whatever you can take at this point. I have had some. And since I have had an effect on me being in this place, I can use that same formula, change the input, and come up with a different result, answer, output. So I thought the thoughts, implanted them, that affected me in a way to get me here. And now I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to think the thoughts of where I want to go and implant those into my subconscious, subjective phase of thinking and see if that changes the expression. He tells us the fact that the within is limitless and the fact that the greatness of the within can be brought forth into expression in greater and greater measure through the proper action of conscious mind upon the subconscious proves conclusively that humans may become as great as they may desire to be, and that their ability, their talent, and their genius may be developed not only to a most remarkable degree, but to any degree. You are an unlimited spiritual being, expressing on this plane in a physical way. That's what you are. No matter where you are at this moment right now, that's what you are. You say, well, this is a pep talk. This is a motivation. This is not a motivation. This is an unveiling of the truth that you are. That's all we're doing here, is unveiling it for you and unveiling it for me. As I tell you, I get the lesson 3 times. I have a greater responsibility. It doesn't make me feel good because I have a greater responsibility. It just holds my feet to the fire, closer to the flames. You are an unlimited being. It is up to you to develop your potential. The word educate, as Emily Cady explains to us in Lessons in Truth, means to bring forth that which is within. To bring forth that which is within. You are an unlimited person, being, expression of divine. You are an unlimited expression of the divine. Now, what we have been given as unlimited expressions of the divine is the free will to develop that unlimited possibility in any direction we choose. This is not a pep talk. This is not a motivational talk. This is a truth talk. And you take the truth and you use it in any way that you choose to use it. You've been doing that all your life. You've been using the truth any way you wanted to use it. You just didn't know you were using truth. The truth of the matter is, as you impress the subconscious, right? The subconscious produces your life. That's the truth. That's what you've been doing. The difference between before and now is the fact that you have a pattern and you have an understanding, if you wish to accept it, to say that I know, regardless of the situation, I know that I have impact in my life, that I can affect my life with the way that I think because I understand the process. My conscious thinking implants upon my subconscious thinking phase, subjective phase, whatever it is I'm thinking. God's not punishing me. I'm putting punishment on myself. The greatness of our Creator is that we've been given the freedom to carry out this gift of life in any manner that we choose. That's the good news. That's the good news that the Master Teacher Jesus brought to the people that would listen. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back. This is Reverend R. Ken Turner, Senior Minister at Unity of Chicago South, inviting you to join us on any given Sunday. Make sure you check out our website to see our activities. There are Sundays that we do some fellowshipping with other Unity and metaphysical-minded institutions. We wouldn't want you to come out if we're not there, but we're there most Sundays. Blessings and bliss. I'll see you on the other side.
Have you ever been stuck at a decision point, feeling a need to choose among several options, none of which really met the need? Have you felt the tension build as the limitations of each choice became clearer, while the advantages seemed to fade? One way through such a challenging situation is to multiply your options. To multiply your options, you must first believe that with God's help, there is always a way. Knowing this, you can cease trying to figure a way out through your human intelligence alone. Relax and allow yourself to be inspired. When we have eyes to see it, ears to hear it, and a heart to follow it, there's always another way.
okay, some of you said, he said blessings and bliss like it was over with. Now some of you left. There are some of your friends that had to leave at that particular time. They had to leave because it got a little deep. And so it was to those people that I was saying blessings and bliss until next time. But for you that have found your way back, let us continue as we finish up the Great Within with the final lesson, the final chapter, Awakening the Great Within. It says, personally, each person is only as much as he has consciously or unconsciously directed the subconscious to produce. And the person will remain what they are so long as they do not direct the subconscious to produce more. But they may become more, as much more as their highest aspiration can picture by awakening the great within. So let's understand what's going on here. We're not saying that the great within is sleep. We're saying that it's lying dormant to the sense that additional growth and progress happens when it's requested to do so. So wherever we are right now, the great within is just producing, what it needs to produce to keep us in the place that we are. So it is awake, it is active. But it's when we say, this is enough. This is life I have right now. I've had enough of this. I want more. I want more of the goodness that is supposed to be there for me. I'm ready for it. Then the great within is pushed into action. Now let's understand. I said, like that's all it takes. No, it's going to take a change in the thinking to the point that the great within accepts this is really a change. So in the past we may have said, you know what, I want to change. I want to be a different person. I want to let go of a habit. I want to approach life differently. I want to achieve some things. And we say, that's it. That's what I want to do. And we sit there and we wait. Now we've been told in earlier chapters of The Great Within by Christian D. Larson that you also have to take some action. You see, it's my external conscious action along with my conscious thinking. That phase, moving in action, begins to plant within the inner phase, that great within, the subconscious mind, that I'm really serious about that. As I continue on a conscious level to work toward whatever it is that I want, the subconscious, the subjective, has to catch on and then promote that which I want. Start working to promote it, to bring it forth. So all that's to say that, yeah, I could change my mind and want to go in a different direction, and it can happen right away. But for it to sustain itself, I have to then be a part of that perpetuation by continuing to think and act in the new way that I want my life to go, and I want to demonstrate as my life experience. So I think that I want to stop doing whatever. I think I want to stop a habit. And I say, okay, I'm going to stop my habit, whatever it is. And I stop my habit, and then it gets a little rough 4 days down the line. I say, you know what? That habit really got me through some things, and I don't know if I'm really ready to. Maybe I'll just try. Well, my actions are not congruent with what I'm asking my subconscious to do. It is when I say, it's getting pretty rough and I feel like I'm going to go back to my old ways, and then I find a way to pray, meditate, go to a meeting, whatever it might take for me to get past that moment. Every time I do that, I'm convincing my subconscious that I really, really want to make this change. I really, really want this to happen for me. And I'm dependent on you to help me. I'm dependent on you to carry me through. I'm going to do everything I can on a conscious level. But I know that I need that which is subconscious to kick in. I know I need the great within to achieve whatever it is that I'm wanting to achieve. So let's understand. It's there. No matter where we are right now, and I've said that several times tonight, no matter what our condition is, our state is right now, and I'm talking to me, And I hope that you get something out of it. No matter what I'm going through right now, there's within me the potential to get out of the situation, to grow from the situation, to become more than I am, to reach the goals that I seek. All of those things are within me. Now, do I have the courage to connect with them and to continue to perpetuate them? Because that's very important. I've got to continue to perpetuate them in the face of defeat, in the face of what seems like failure, in the face of whatever it might be, in the face of negativity. I must continue, I must continue, I must continue. And therefore, it is important that I have some practices that help me continue. I'm not trying to evoke any kind of magical formula within myself, but it is saying that, hey, you hit a rough patch. What do you have in your practice to help you through the rough patch? You can probably go within and bring forth the energy necessary to get you through that rough patch. Let's move on. To train the conscious mind, to train the conscious thinking, to act upon the subconscious with the greatest efficiency, a clear idea of how the two phases of mind, how the two phases of thinking are related to each other becomes necessary. And this idea is readily understood when we realize that mind thinking is an immense sea of soul forces, all of which move in circles and spirals. So now he's given us a visual of this process. He says this thinking process called mind, remember we've distinguished between the one mind and the use in that mind. He's saying that it circles and spirals. And then he goes on to tell us that when we are awake, we see these circles and spirals, so to speak. This is a mental picture, and we act outside of them, you know? They have already been created. Here's a circle of fear. Here's a circle of joy. Here's a spiral of achievement. They're all there, and this is composing these vibrations. This movement is our conscious life, our awake life, right? Our awake life, not awakened, but our awake life. And then he tells us, but when we go to sleep, and those are a couple of lessons that we've recently had. When we go to sleep, that we withdraw that conscious thinking from that process of the circles and the spirals. We withdraw them. We withdraw them from the circles and the spirals. Okay? And when we withdraw them from the outer and insert them on the inner. So we go inside of the circles and we go inside of the spirals. This is when we're asleep. But yet we have some of the energy still outside. You say, well, can you give me a better explanation? When we go to sleep, we have dreams that we are aware of, that we are involved in many cases, consciously. But at the same time, we are impressing our subconscious, and we're told that the thoughts that we have right before we go to sleep or prior to going to sleep are the thoughts that are being impressed upon the subconscious. So you see, we're conscious with the dreaming, but we're also impacting that subconscious phase. We're doing both in our sleep. Doing both. He said, and now this is when we can do the most work on the internal subconscious, because we have the conscious kind of resting. Oh, it's still there, it's still active, but it's not as active, and it's not in total control of what's going on, of the thinking process. It's not in total control because we're asleep. And he says this is the time that those thoughts that we had, that we placed in our mind before we went to sleep, that 5 minutes, 10 minutes before we went to sleep, we cleared our mind, and then we placed these thoughts of what we want in life, that they can penetrate and really penetrate into our subconscious thinking and phase of mind. So, he said, to secure the best and largest results from every mental action, the conscious ego should, during the waking state, act consciously upon both the subconscious and the conscious. To be in constant touch with the limitless power of the within will add remarkably to the capacity as well as the quality of the facilities that may be used, faculties that may be used. And every conscious desire we enter will enter the subconscious at once, so that an immediate response may be secured if required. So we're being told here, we're going to take a break after this, we're being told here that while we are awake, for the most effective result, that we should realize that our thinking, conscious thinking, is impressing our subconscious thinking phase. So the thoughts that I have out here, I'm implanting them into the subconscious. And if I continue to work this process and understand that I'm working this process, hey, not with fear. Oh my God, not with fear. And I know there's some people out there. So that means that if I think a bad thought, that it's going into my subconscious and then it's going to come out. I know. And it's, no, slow down. Moving too fast. I wake up this morning and I say, now I understand that my thinking throughout this day is going to impress the action part of my mind, of my thinking process, of my phase. And again, stay with me on this mind thing. It's a terminology that we're used to, but I want to make it clear that we're always in the divine mind. So I'm aware of that. So I'm going to work consciously to make sure that I impress the subconscious with that which I want. Now that does not mean that every thought is going to be that which I want. There probably is going to be a time that I'm like, oh, what's wrong with this person? Or what's this situation? Or how did I get in here? For a time. But the more that I say that I'm impressing my subconscious with what I want, and the more that I do that, eventually, that stuff that I don't want, that stuff that is frivolous, that doesn't do me any good, will fade away. Because it has no support in the subconscious mind, in the subconscious phase of my thinking. It has no support there. It has no support. So, don't be afraid, don't be scarred, and don't be discouraged. This is a process that we're going through to take us to a particular place that we want to be. And so, we work to do it. It's like being a spiritual athlete. You know, you start out and whatever it is, you train, and we said we'd be right back. So we're going to take a break, and I'll finish that spiritual athlete thing when you get back. This is Reverend R. Ken Turner. Blessings and bliss. We'll see you on the other side. Out, you want to be a major league ball player, you want to be a track star, you want to be a tennis star, you want to be a golfer, whatever it is you want to be, you start off and you're a novice in it. Now you may seem to have some natural ability, and someone said, oh, you have some natural ability, you should really pursue this. You see, so your natural ability is not enough. There's some training that has to go forth if you want to be the best that you can be, if you want to take full advantage of your abilities. Well, it's the same with the spiritual work. You have some natural ability. There's no doubt about it. We all do. But now it's about, are we willing to pay the price to do the training so that we can become professional in our spirituality, professionals in our spirituality? That's really the point. Is that what I want to do? And I would say to you that the benefits that are shared with us in this book, The Great Within, those benefits far outweigh any benefits from any field of study, from any athletic work, from anything that we could possibly do. This is the max. So I would say to you that we want to create a practice that will help us develop this innate ability that each and every one of us as human beings have. He says, the strong mind is the mind that is in such close touch with the great within that the limitless powers of the within can be felt at any time. I am training myself. You are training yourself so that you are in touch with the full potential of your spiritual life that will manifest as your life experience at all times. That's our goal. And guess what? Unlike a baseball player or football player, any sports person, at a certain age, because their skills are physical skills, they diminish. But this spiritual sport, it doesn't. The more you use it, the more we use it, the more I use it, the greater it gets. The more in touch I am with what I really am, the power that I really have available to me. The more I'm in touch with it, the more it expresses in my life. So I'm saying to you, no matter what you're doing right now, no matter who you are right now, that you want to work and develop this spiritual athleticism. Knowing that it will never fail you, will never leave you, as long as you're on this place, this earth, this plane called earth, it will be with you and you can use it. Wow. So, what do I need to do so I can be in closer proximity with this power in my thinking and my action? Develop your practice of meditation, develop your practice of prayer, so that throughout the day you'll be able to break down and say, whoop, I'm going a little too far in the wrong direction. Let me just calm myself and move right back into where I want to be. Whoops. Let me pray right here, right now, knowing that the divine is with me right here, right now. Whatever your prayers, whatever your meditation is, develop a practice. Make sure that that practice is something that you can work at any time. You start with the morning, I get up, I give thanks, da-da-da-da-dee, da-da-da-da-dee, but that we want to have a practice that we can work with throughout the day as the various challenges. And even sometimes we can't use our practice, or we seemingly cannot use our practice after the situation. But if we continue to use our practice, eventually the subconscious, the subjective phase of mind, the subjective phase of our thinking will take over. And before we react to something, it will come forth and provide us with the proper action to take based on what we say that we want. Goes on to tell us that the mind, that thinking phase, has presence at all times and under all circumstances. It is in perfect touch with the subconscious phase of thinking. In fact, if the subconscious is impressed every day, or better still, several times a day, to guide the outer thinking process, outer thinking phase, so perfectly that the right step will always be taken at the right time, the conscious thinking will intuitively know when to do, what to do to obtain the best results. We will get to a point that we will have what they call in athletics muscle memory, spiritual muscle memory. And it would automatically kick in whenever it's needed for us to get the best results in our life experience. Pretty powerful stuff. And then we're going to round it out. When the powers of the subconscious are realized, one's ideals will become much higher than before, and there will be a tendency to form ideas that cannot be realized with present states of development. But since the proper direction of the subconscious can promote development to any degree desired, it is not justice to itself to remain content with the lesser while the greater is in view. It requires work. What do we just have here as we wind this thing down? He's letting us know that there will be a point that we become uncomfortable in our current situation, that we've reached the potential of this current situation, that the subconscious has done everything that it can in this current situation. It is not being challenged. It has brought us to this point, and we can stay there if we choose to. But he's saying it's unfair not to take it to another level. Now, sometimes you see this with people that have made money and decide to get spiritual or become philanthropists. They want to give more, they want to do more, but they've reached the pinnacle of whatever field they're in, or they feel they've reached that pinnacle. That's what we're talking about here. That no matter where you are right now, and we've said this, there's more that you could have, more that you can get, more that you can do. Some folks believe that because their value is wrapped in money, that it's always more money to get, and that's what gives it to them. They're missing the point. There's a certain amount of money that, or a certain level that you get there's no way that you can use all that money in your lifetime. Some people have reached the point that their children and grandchildren will not be able to use all that money that they've accumulated. I'm not saying good or bad about that. I'm just stating a fact. And they're being pushed and driven to do more and get more, and they keep thinking that it's the money, it's the property, it's the material. But now we understand that there is an invisible, spiritual, non-material issue that's going on. And that no matter how you have trained yourself, no matter how you have elevated yourself, no matter where you've taken yourself, financially, success-wise, in whatever field it might be, there's a spiritual aspect that can go further. And at some point the material is let go of, if that's where your whole focus has been, and you begin to develop on the spiritual side. There are some that are so fortunate that they're able to do both at the same time, that they're able to not lose sight of the spirituality of the whole thing, but yet accumulate material goods. Many of us, that's where we want to be. He says the proper course to first increase the capacity, the proper course is to first increase the capacity, then desire what the increased capacity has the power to fulfill. So, let's go back to our athlete. We're dealing with a spiritual scenario here. Let's go back to our athlete. And we have someone who wants to be the champion of the world. Now they have won all the local competitions. And then they look at it and they say, well, I'm going to have to increase my ability to do whatever it is. Hit a ball, throw a ball, lift some weight, whatever it is. So before I compete on that level, let me begin to train myself to increase my capacity. That's what's being said here. Okay, you have these wonderful things in your life now and you want more. Remember how you got here. Let's work on developing that relationship between the conscious phase and the subconscious phase even more. Let's put upon it, hey, if today I can just go a little bit further, just a little bit further with this process. Whatever it might be, I'm not going to even suggest something. If I can just not do something today that I don't want to do anymore. I've done well, but there's still this little bitty thing. And if we can work on that, and then the next little bitty thing and the next little bitty thing, that's building the capacity for the subconscious phase and the conscious phase to work together. And the more we build that capacity for them to work together, the more we do that, the more that we can put upon them. And it's not a burden. Okay, we're in the last phase. I'm going to take a break. We're going to come back and finish it up. This is Reverend R. Ken, The Great Within by Christian D. Larson. the final chapter, Awakening the Great Within.
I could no longer believe in the stern Father God I learned about in Sunday school. As I was about to give up on religion altogether, Unity showed me a view of God I could relate to. Pure life, pure love, and pure wisdom. I found faith when I found Unity.
Okay, so we are at the last phase of the last chapter about awakening the great within. We have learned quite a few things, I hope, as we've gone through this. And now we're at the point of how do we even achieve greater? And we know from the last segment that we want to challenge the great within to give more as we say we want more. And that we want to realize that wherever we are right now, there's more to be had. We use some material examples to show that you could reach a pinnacle, but there's still more. Now we're dealing just with the spiritual aspect. Once that you reach a pinnacle, there can be more. Now the material and the spiritual aspect in this particular case are really one and the same. This is not saying that you have all the material things that you want. This is saying that you have grown just as someone that has all the material that they can use. You have grown to a point, but you know that within you there's more that you can do, more that you can give, more that you can be. And you want to develop that just as another person wants to have more money even though they can't use it. You know that you can use your more, being more spiritual, being or achieving more. Anyway, hope you got it, because we'll move on. He tells us that develop greatness by awakening the great within and the power that can produce anything, and realize anything will be gained. So this whole process is to awaken this great within, to understand its potential, and to continue in awakening it, continue in doing it. God has been so good to me. Many people will say, God has been so good to me. I'm just so happy, and I just want to praise God. I just want to go to church every day, and I just want to do the things to praise God. And what he's saying here is that's all well and good, but God, if that's how you want to look at it, has so much more to give you. Do you want it? I mean, that's the question to ask. The divine, the universe has so much more to give me because it's unlimited. Do I want it? Or do I want to say, nah, I don't want no more. I got all I want. I don't want any more. I don't want to be more enlightened. I don't want to be closer to my spiritual fullness. I don't want any of that. I'm good. And who's to say if that's where you are that that's not a good thing and that's not a good place to be? He goes on to say, development is gradual and does not simply consist in the unfoldment of added power and capacity, but also in the full tangible use of that power and capacity. So there's a responsibility in saying that I want to reach my full capacity. I want to get as close to complete in my spiritual expression as possible. The more I expand myself and my capacity on the spiritual level, the more I can expand myself on the ability to think a thought and it manifests. The more I do that, the more I get. But it's a process. One of my spiritual teachers used to say that it's a process. Had a little song that goes along with it, Reverend Herbert Lassiter. It's a process. It's a process. It is a process. And now Larson is telling us that it's a gradual process, but it's still an unlimited capacity that we have on this gradual process.